on December 5th, 2024, a new iteration of a DC shared universe will kick off with the release of the animated series Creature Commandos. Although I'm very interested in experiencing this new interpretation of the superheroes I grew up with all my life, I have some trepidations as well. But those are for another video. For this one, I shall relate how I would personally craft the beginning blueprint of a DC cinematic universe. In DC Comics, I view there as being roughly 3 eras of superheroes. That of the Justice Society, that of the Justice League, and that of the offspring of the Justice Leaguers. For my pitch, I would choose to begin my franchise at the dawn of the Justice League era. This would provide me with plenty of source material to work with on both sides of the timeline. I would have the initial films be set in a world familiar with superheroes, the one that hasn't seen hide nor hair of such a hero in many years. The Justice Society in the comics are typically associated with the 1940s, and I think for the team and their members' characterizations, it is important for that connection to be upheld. That being said, though, most of the members' roles in the modern era as elder statesmen is of equal importance. So the question is, in current day 2024, how would one combine these two ideas? Well, I would take inspiration from Watchmen, another property under the DC banner, and have mentioned scattered about through the initial movies that the Justice Society mysteriously disappeared during the 50s or 60s. This would serve as one of the ongoing mysteries throughout the first phase or so of the pitch. As the modern heroes emerge, the general public has a wide range of reactions to the new era, from awe to suspicion. Some of these new heroes, such as Barry Allen, The Flash, and Clark Kent, Superman, would have grown up idolizing the stories and morals of the Justice Society, while someone such as Batman would inevitably become tangled in the web of uncovering the truth behind their disappearance. As for the roster of the Justice League, I would utilize the standard original team of Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, The Flash, Green Lantern, Aquaman, and Martian Manhunter. Each would be introduced in their own solo movies, with the exception of Martian Manhunter, though I wouldn't necessarily have each solo movie be an origin story. These solo movies would both round out the tones and characterizations of each of the founding Justice Leaguers. It would also allow for the introductions of their supporting cast and rogues gallery of villains to this larger universe to continue working with as the franchise expands more and more. Martian Manhunter, being a shapeshifter, would be the Phil Coulson of my DC pitch, being revealed in the big crossover movie of the first phase to have taken the form of minor supporting characters in each of the initial films to study each named hero and nudge them toward joining forces with Argus under Amanda Waller. It is Waller who would ultimately be an anti-Nick Fury, initially forming and deploying the Justice League. But in the midst of the team's first film, Batman would realize her moral lacking makes her unfit to be calling the shots and wrestles control away from her. By the end of the second Justice League movie, he would ultimately hand the leadership role to Superman, acknowledging his comrade as the more inspiring choice. But what villains should be featured in these grand crossover Justice League movies? I would say the first Justice League adversaries should be a coalition of various aliens led by Martian Manhunter's brother, Ma'ala Fa'ak, possibly later revealed to have been a strike force deployed by Teen Titans' adversary, the Citadel. The plot would be a rough amalgamation of the Invasion and Justice League Year One storylines. Argus would have received warnings of the coalition's coming prior or due to the events of the first film in the franchise, leading Waller to bring the various heroes popping up together to form a successor to the Justice Society to oppose the approaching threat. The second phase of this DC pitch would be Lex Luthor forming an Injustice League, seeking to tarnish the Justice Leaguers' reputations and ultimately take them down in a rough adaptation of the Justice League Tower of Babel storyline. Amanda Waller, upset over her ousting by Batman in the previous Justice League movie, would aid him in this endeavor, though would inevitably betray him upon determining him to no longer have Earth's best interests in mind. This would lead her to form her own checkmate organization, and later Suicide Squad. Also, during this second phase of my pitch, other lesser heroes such as Hawkman, Hawkwoman, the Atom, Green Arrow, Red Tornado, and many more would be introduced. One of the post-credits teasers during Phase 2 would feature Maxwell Lord, the liaison to the Justice League, revealing himself to be a member of Amanda Waller's Checkmate organization. It would also be revealed that he was among the humans abducted by the alien coalition during the events of the first Justice League movie, resulting in the emergence of telepathic powers. These powers, over the years, caused him to secretly turn against the League out of paranoia and align himself with Waller's ideals. The third phase of this DC pitch would inevitably lead to an invasion by the forces of Apocalypse, led by Darkseid, roughly adapting the Justice League War storyline. All heroes and some villains, such as the Suicide Squad, introduced thus far, would band together to oppose this new deadly force. Throughout this phase, Fourth World characters, such as Orion and Calabac, would come to Earth, setting the stage for a multi-part grand conclusion. There would also be a Fourth World prequel film, adapting Darkseid and Highfather's backstories, culminating in them exchanging suns to beget a tentative peace treaty. By the end of this phase, Darkseid would have a satisfying defeat, and though seemingly obliterated, I would leave an opportunity open for his return down the line. After all, Darkseid is. As for the solo movies of heroes other than Justice Leaguers beyond Phase 1, I have a general personal rule for superhero projects. If a hero hasn't been able to sell a solo comic book series, they probably shouldn't receive a movie all of their own. Lesser heroes should either be relegated to crossover movies or team-up movies. Characters such as Green Arrow, Shazam, Booster Gold, etc. are all examples of such heroes deserving of their own solo movies. Yet characters such as Vixen, Zatanna, Metamorpho, and the like, despite having their own fan bases, should be utilized in other strategic ways. Also, I would be careful about the rollout of sidekicks too fast for the sake of the longevity of the universe. The Teen Titans should definitely be saved until, at the very least, Phases 4 onward. I would showcase the sidekicks' existences within the universe as it makes sense, but I would be hesitant to utilize them in proper sidekick roles until at least the mainstay heroes' third movies. Another rule I would put in place is severely limiting the Flash's time travel. When fighting villains such as Abracadabra or Eobard Thawne, time travel is an inevitability, but I would be very careful not to muck up the timeline in a Flash solo film that drastically alters continuity in all projects going forward. This has simply been a rough blueprint, though. I would love to move through this idea project by project to showcase the larger scope of this idea, but let me know if that's something you would be interested in. I am a big fan of comics, and I consider myself very knowledgeable on the lore. But anyway, like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video, and comment down below any ideas you have for launching a proper DC cinematic universe. Lastly, check out the upper video on the left-hand side to see my pitch for how the MCU should tackle the upcoming mutant saga, and check out the video on the lower left-hand side to see my pitch for a better Joker sequel than we ended up getting. Ciao for now.